Yeah, I'm pulling out of here.
Look how that lock-on starts while my ECM's still going on.
Shit.
Oh, leg.
I know, right?
Whoa!
Still buggy.
Whoa! Whoa! That was close. I should have hit that.
God damn it. Get back
Did
here.
Venom die?
Welcome. This is ViperSpec25, and you are watching my very first tutorial video, as requested by some of you in particular. Well, this is for you, Fro. And we're going to get right started into this. Here you see me, I'm engaging some ground targets. Coming in on this tank over here. We notice an air radar jet coming in, and this can be an example of what I see a lot of guys doing out there, which is the wrong thing to do. We're going to start flying erratically, trying to escape from him, but we're really not getting away. This doesn't end well for me. He's going to get me disabled right here. And let's just say that landing's a little rougher than it needed to be. He got a kill out of that. Here we are. We're going to restart a little scenario here. Attacking ground targets. Pretty soon you can see ECM for the lock-on right there. Pretty soon you can see that jet coming up in the air radar. And that's what I do. I'm going to hit around 300 knots. You want to keep 300 knots. That's where your tightest turning is going to be. Turn right, try to get him to chase me that way. Turn back around, and you saw me do that inverted loop towards the ground. That's called a split S. When you're doing that, it's going to make yourself a lot harder target for him to follow than doing the loop straight up and over. That's basically the worst thing you can do is pull straight up and try to crank right back into him. So that makes you a flat target. It's got the broadest space for him to hit. The big rules, remember to stay skinny. Don't give him a good target to hit and keep moving. And try to get those turns, try to get around, get behind him, get a shot on him. Another thing, when you're doing those turns, you want to maintain 300 knots. That's where the sweet spot is about. It's about the 300 to 310 range. Never hit your afterburners when you're in the dogfight unless you drop way too low, and I'm talking around the 260, 270 area, and then only tap to start to regain your speed. Your tightest turn is going to be controlling your braking to keep yourself around there and letting your jet accelerate on its own back up when you do get a little bit low. Hitting the afterburners just makes your turn come out a little bit wider. A lot of people think it makes it tighter. It just kind of feels that way when you're in the cockpit. And once again, right there, when he came up on me, I saw him coming, dove towards the ground, did that roll to make myself skinny and make a harder target for him to hit. And immediately started cutting back up and towards him. I was able to escape between ECM and below the radar and went back over to my base for a little while to reassess the situation. Since then, the jet lost me, has lost interest, so we'll see what's going on.
Let's go see if the transport helo's there.
Oh, mind if I get lift in?
Right now, they're off putzing around, so I'm engaging some ground targets. I will say this about the post-patch jet. The machine gun has been really buffed against infantry. It's very nice. You can take guys down with some really quick spurts. And the rockets, too. You see a group of guys, you can usually get multiple kills when they're bunched together. Now here, I think there might have been a jet following me, so I get behind my mountain and dip down real low. Come back around, reassess the situation. I see no jets in sight. I'm going to engage this helicopter. And even though the rocket pods no longer track on the target, if you got careful enough aim, you can still weaken up the helicopter just like that, making them easy gun kill when you get closer, even when they're repairing it. Boogie back to my base.
That's 4, 5.
You don't want to hang over there. You don't know if that anti-air tanks respond or not. Between the jets and the anti-air tank, the priorities go search for jets, and if you see that anti-air tank and the jets aren't an issue at the moment, you take him out immediately. Right now we got enough room and space to take out some tanks. That jet to my left hadn't noticed me quite yet, but we're going to get on him and make sure he doesn't become an issue. Now they did nerf the gun damage against other jets, so it does take significantly more to take each other out. And here he's kind of oblivious. He's just trying to avoid me now, so I get a couple more hits there and get moving.
We have 3 tanks.
Now when you're in those dives, you're going to have to get a little heavier on the brake to keep your speed where you want it to be. Make that tight turn in that split S or that inverted loop. And sometimes you're going to have to maybe tap the afterburner when you're doing the regular loop to get your speed back up. That's about the only time it's acceptable. Here, once again, priority anti-air tank. No jets on our butt. We're going to take him out. Another thing I like to do when I'm doing some of these loops is I have the free look set to the hat on my controller, on my joystick. using the BF3 settings editor, I can just hit that without having to hold another button. And I'll do those loops like that, and I'll use that to look up and check over my shoulder for any approaching enemies or next targets I'll be going after. The key to dogfights post-patch now, because they changed some of the turning mechanics, the brakes are a lot touchier. They'll slow you down faster if you're on them too long. Speed matching is important. These guys will end up going a little bit slower, and you'll overtake them before you can shoot them. Sometimes you do have to slow down a little bit more. In terms of trying to escape somebody, you want those tight turns. Magic number, I cannot say it enough, is 300. Roughly between 290 and 310, but we'll say 300. We'll call it like torquing a bolt or something like that. You go right in the middle. Another post-patch note: rocket pods are not as accurate as they used to be. And that crashes there brings up another important note. It's so much easier when you have a wingmate you can depend on, and especially if you're flying with somebody in your squad, because when they're in your squad, that'll actually show their name on the screen. You can have a better idea of where they're at. I really wish DICE would have left the friendly jets in the air radar. It would prevent a lot of those moments, but yeah, we all fail sometimes. You saw me there, I knew that jet was coming. The biggest thing, you see them coming on the air radar and you have time, you turn into them. Make that tight, 300 knot, split S, tight turn to the right, left, whatever it is you want to do, roll over. Face them, and as they're approaching you, you do a barrel roll and try to slide around them or away from them to try to keep from colliding. That barrel roll keep them from two things: hitting you with their jet as you're avoiding them, and make you a harder target for them to hit with their guns. And some of the more novice pilots, the barrel roll will confuse them in either direction. They will try to spin with you. I don't recommend doing it trying to run away from somebody. A good pilot will just stay in the same direction and shoot at you. This is also another advantage to the split S, because you can do the you can make it look like you're going to do like the noob move and do that loop, beginning, roll over, look like you're going to start turning one direction, keep rolling, and do that split S. And by the time he does that, he's going to start trying to match your climb, and by the time you roll over and you're in that split S, that inverted loop towards the ground, he's having to follow you, and he's already overtaken you. He's more worried about hitting the ground now. And in fact, that second clip, I got that pilot and caught him with his pants down. He was more concentrated on where I was at than the ground, and he wound up hitting the side of that mountain, which is also very funny every time they do that. Here we got in a fight with two jets, got one down. This other guy knows how to turn significantly better than the first one. This fight's going to go on a little while. And keep working on him. When you got a dedicated guy like this, unless you can find a good opportunity where you know he's not watching you, you know you're off his air radar, ECM's popped, he's not going to follow the trail, you're below the radar, you can go ahead and reset the fight where you're on your own terms. Sometimes you just got to turn it out until you can get him, because he will kill you the instant he gets an opening. Fights like this, I believe the anti-air tank does end up starting to throw missiles at me and so forth, and some guns, so I do end up escaping from this jet and getting low and back towards my base to reset the fight.
I wish more helicopters would stray too close to the US.
And there he had actually kind of probably lost me a little bit there, because he ended up turning right in front of me. Notice my speed, it is dipping a little bit low. I do tap the afterburner when necessary to bring myself back up to at least the 280 range when I notice I'm dropping a little bit too low. There's that anti-air tank there on the mountain. I'm going to work this guy a little bit more. Pop my ECM, get low.
He's disabled.
Avoiding missiles. I know those missiles have a lot harder time hitting, especially if you pop ECM and you're low to the ground. And I like to throw barrel rolls in for flare because it looks cooler when they fly by you. There I am, I escaped from the jet and it lost sight of me altogether. I'm resetting, going back to my base to reassess and reattack. Nothing worse than having to fight one jet with anti-air, and then you never know when that second jet's gonna finally respawn and come in on you.
I'm gonna go
It's very easy to lose track of time in that case.
Alright, I'm in. Yep.
Yeah, right. Re-engaged that jet. Anti-air is still sitting on the mountaintop there. I'm just gonna fly up over this ridge here and get out of his lock-on range. Staying low, keep him getting locked on. The other jet, I dropped off his air radar as soon as I got over that mountain. See me looking up and over with the free look. The anti-air's got to go. He's
Gonna spot us, so I'm gonna go round.
not helping my situation at all.
Who's gonna get him first?
I'm not sure.
I've noticed when they took away the, like I said before, they're not as accurate with the rocket pods, but they hit a lot harder than they did prior to this last patch.
Too far, too.
But it seems when they took away the guiding against air vehicles, they really gimped it or damn near took it away from ground vehicles too. So you got to be pretty on target for it to make sure they all hit. Here I am, the anti-air's taking care of him, re-engaging with that jet.
He's probably gonna come.
Another thing, when he wants to do that turn battle where you're just spinning in circles all the time,
Hey, Booze,
you can do that with him. It's going to take forever. You're going to get bored to tears. Eventually, one of you's just going to give up and you're going to get shot down, or he's going to get shot down. What I like to do in these situations is I'll start him into it, and I'll follow him for a second, but I'll start dipping my nose in on one part of the half of the turn and cutting a little bit out,
Oh,
and then I'll pick my nose up on the other part and flip back over just to shorten that turn a little bit.
Did you drop ammo?
Start throwing loops to lose him completely because you do that really tight loop at 300 knots or whatever, and
such a star.
you can get right back behind him again
Hey,
while he's still trying to chase you in a circle.
Oh, there he is.
oh, he's right up there.
Oh, he came back.
No, we finally got him. We're going to head back to our section of the map a little bit more where it's a little safer and
Oh, he's
find ourselves some targets to pick off.
he backed up.
We're here, just in case somebody is following me. You see me dip down on the other backside of that mountain. I immediately hit my brakes as hard as I can, get down to 300, crank back on the stick,
We scared him. He's like,
and
so far.
I'm flipping back over and my nose is facing over that mountain. So yeah. Now I do fly with a joystick. I do use the S key on my keyboard with my left hand for my brakes, and then I can also use the Q to spot anything I need to spot. But for you keyboard mouse guys, the biggest tip I can give for you guys that a lot of the really good pilots seem to use is binding this spacebar to pitch, or to give you that maximum ability to turn. And then doing a mixture of flying with your arrow keys or whatever you're comfortable with for directions, and then the fine-tune aiming with your mouse. I fly at the stick because it seems more natural to fly that way to me. I like flight simulators, and I do a lot of work on aeronautics and F-16s. Thank you for watching my video. If you guys enjoyed this, like, favorite, subscribe, all that stuff. Ask me in the comments anything I might have missed or any other hints or anything you'd like. And thanks again.